This program is proudly brought to you by Puma Energy and proudly supported by BSB, official sponsor of the 2015 Pacific Games, and New Guinea, exclusive carrier for the 2015 Pacific Games, and Coral Sea Hotels, preferred accommodation provider of the 2015 Pacific Games. Good evening and welcome to Road to Port Moresby 2015. While the majority of the nation is winding down for the festive season, construction work and athletes will be working into the new year as they prepare for a bigger and better year of sports in Papua New Guinea come 2015. Now on this episode, we take a tour of the Taurama Indoor and Aquatic Complex as Sports Minister Justin Tkatchenko addresses the concerns on the completion of venues as well as a sit-down with Pacific Games CEO Peter Stewart. But first, this lady went from rags to riches, growing up in the urban outlets of the Eastern Highlands province before becoming Miss South Pacific bodybuilding champion. Here's Misa Vefa's journey to success. From the village of Kamaliki in the Eastern Highlands province, the soft-spoken 35-year-old Misa Avefa grew up as an ordinary child in the village without realizing that one day she would become the champion female bodybuilder in Papua New Guinea and the South Pacific. It wasn't until the year 2012 at the 5th PNG Games in Kokopo that Misa began her bodybuilding career. Soke Avefa, father to Misa, described his daughter as a young lady who grew up in the village, doing the daily chores and responsibilities that was expected from a typical village lifestyle.
Me place Mary, me no school Mary, me can walk housework, walk garden, walk lily walk garden nasta, house nasta. That's all. This like game that's all making now. 2000 PNG Games making now. I must me come through Osekai.
Misa becoming a bodybuilder, let alone the best in Papua New Guinea and the South Pacific, wasn't something that Soke as a father ever thought about nor imagined.
So this is a big thing that she will be going into the big arena. And which is also, it's good for Papua New Guinea to see that at least we got somebody from that area within Papua New Guinea is also on an international standard where he can compete in any other games too. So I'm so proud.
After winning gold in the female bodybuilding competition for Team Eastern Highlands at the 5th PNG Games in Kokopo, Misa knew she had more to discover in the sport of bodybuilding, as it was her fighting spirit to continue that led her to representing her motherland, Papua New Guinea.
Me no tin by me come logan up me can me tin o se me dream man. Na me no trust me yet. Na o se me bakam o se kan but me come so one can marry o se me say to se you start the place or you got in local so you can come now join in this last sports. You got big space for all Merista.
Seeing her daughter compete in a male-dominant sport, Mother Nora Avefa had her worries and concerns, initially saying it was a big challenge for her to let her daughter go, but through trust and belief, she was strengthened.
Me feel proud of picking the girl below me. Meeting osem, picking the girl blomby osem walk blong em blong, walk him house work tasola. Na by walking bit of gardening na. This like kind of sol. Me no been getting thing osem em by go this far. So me very well me say support him all picking in the long. Whatever only like achieve him life long all. So me got big plan mamas. Sampla ting too, mi sa kasi mo, mi go now na by meet him sampla friends, and by walk him sampla kain something lo backside blow me or this like kain ting mi sa gata sol, mi believe him, mi trust him, that and by go. Cause how me look him, she's very sensible, humble, Nox BC, you sabe, or Merilo Pelesia. You be educated by you know, we are somebody else. Time you stop on top, and that's it. You look on top, you not look go down. I'm proud that she's like that. And even though we go that far, I'm still a stop all same yet. You know, got on to change.
The 25th of September 2014 marked an exciting time in Misa's life. Misa was crowned Miss South Pacific for the Open Women Bodybuilding category. This marked a milestone in her 35 years of life, as it was always somewhat of a dream in the back of her mind to one day represent Papua New Guinea and, most importantly, represent the people of the Eastern Highlands province.
Misa go out na play. Mina sa looking more face for family me. All family me can stop na support na paiti man sta na pa mi go na kissing gold or kissing medals. Noga desla misa feel karai misa to all family me na plus stop na clap na amamas na ba mi goya. We noga tol stalon we na mika mo sem kai na misa to ko se na misa bendan ta so na kissing medals pa mi na misa kama.
The 2015 Pacific Games will be another momentous occasion in her life, as she is humbled to be given the privilege of competing on home soil and, most importantly, in front of her family and friends.
Orgeta long 25th Games.
As the new year is fast approaching and the Games less than 7 months away, Sports Minister Justin Tkatchenko joins us on a tour of the 1.2 billion kina Taurama Indoor Aquatic Centre and reassures the general public of its completion. On this segment, Paul Stangroom, CEO of the Venues and Infrastructure Equipment Committee, commended Fletcher Moresby for doing an exceptional job as they work towards completing the project before the 4th of July.
Minister Tkatchenko held a press conference at the new Aquatic Centre and Indoor Complex at Taurama in Port Moresby recently. He told reporters the facilities were on schedule for completion in May next year, along with other venues around the city, to host the 2015 Pacific Games. He said the cost of building all this infrastructure still stands at 1.2 billion kina.
The Games will cost our government 1.2 billion kina. And not 2 billion kina as stated. We've always said this from day one, that these games will cost over 1 billion kina, so there's nothing new in that. And I'm very thankful for our Prime Minister, the Minister for Planning, Minister for Treasury and Finance, fully supporting me as the Minister for Sports to get these games across the line.
Tkatchenko said the estimates were done by the Pacific Games Authority and all construction was within budget. The authority, added by Costas Constantino, has individuals who are experts in fields of architecture, engineering and construction.
I want everybody to be mindful that the decisions made for the Pacific Games come from the Pacific Games Authority and all their experts, all their project managers, all their architects that run and manage and operate and coordinate these facilities and these games. At the end of the day, as Minister, I oversee and guide and help at my level when it comes to getting support from different government departments, like Finance, like Treasury, like the State Attorney General's Office. But otherwise, the main decisions are made through the Chairman, Costas Constantino, and the Games Authority and the Games Organising Committee.
Fletcher Moresby project manager Jeff Hall said construction of the indoor complex was progressing well, with more than 350 Papua New Guineans employed on site working 7 days a week. He said the workers were doing an excellent job and was proud of their commitment in building this 21st century state-of-the-art building.
So we've got a proud workforce, which means we've got a workforce that will take us through to the completion, ready for the games. The swimming pool that's out the back that we can't see now is well advanced, and we start the actual swimming pool The concrete work is completed and we start the actual swimming pool works next month. This facility that we're standing in here, the main arena, the basketball and volleyball arena, all the slabs, concrete slabs are now complete. The roof is basically complete, just the skylights to go in now, so the facilities are starting to come together. So we've got 6 months of work to do, we've got a long 6 months to go, we'll make that quite clear as well. We've got a lot of work to do, but we're committed to doing it. We're going to work 7 days a week to do it, and we just can't be more proud at the moment of what we've achieved so far.
Venues Infrastructure and Equipment Committee CEO Paul Stengrum, who has been in the post for the past 6 months, said Port Moresby was doing an exceptional job to have the project completed before the opening ceremony on July 4th.
And from this particular contract now, this has gone reasonably well in the last 3 to 4 months. It's probably extremely well, I would say, really. They've done a lot of work. They've gone forward in such a way that it gives everyone a bit of confidence that things are coming together now. I think 3 months ago people were wondering whether it was going to be, but we all believe now that the end sight is, you can see it now. Also, we think that this particular contract is probably going to be one of the sort of outstanding ones because of the architecture and the engineering that's gone into these roofs. This is probably as good as any other facility in the world in terms of if you were going to have a swimming contest, etc., Olympic Games or something of that effect. It's a beautiful complex, and we're all hopeful and willing that it'll all be 100% finished for the Games.
Stengrum has been involved with some huge projects around the world, but is impressed with the architecture and designs of the infrastructures built. The indoor complex will comprise 6 volleyball and basketball courts, with sitting in between for about 2,000 spectators with 3 courts on each side. The complex will also house 2 studios for martial arts sports such as taekwondo, karate and so on. Access to the aquatic center was restricted as a lot of concrete work was taking place in preparation for the installation of the new stainless steel 25-meter training pool and 50-meter competition pool from Italy. However, the minister promised a visit will be done before the end of the year. The 180 million kina project with its beautiful architecture will be completed by May 2015.
CEO of the Pacific Games Committee, Peter Stewart, addresses a number of concerns raised by the general public in this segment. He speaks out on the long and short-term goals of the Pacific Games Council and assures the public that there is more to the Pacific Games than the venues and infrastructures alone.
Tonight on the show, we have the Chief Executive Officer of the 2015 Pacific Games Organising Committee, Peter Stewart. Welcome to the show.
Great to be with you, Tokana, and all your viewers.
Thank you. Okay, can you explain to us some of the key deliverables that have been attained by the Pacific Games Organising Committee thus far?
Look, it's been an amazing couple of years. We've had a range of things that have needed to be done in the planning and the lead up to the Games. A lot of talk is about the venues, but the venues are a very small part of what actually has to be delivered at Games time. We have over 4,000 athletes and team officials visiting. And for them to be successful, they need to have an environment that enables them to perform at their best. And that involves providing over 20,000 meals a day, both in the village and at the venues. We need to provide transport service that gets them to the venues in plenty of time for them to warm up and compete appropriately. In the village, which is the largest hotel in Papua New Guinea by a long way, we need to provide a range of services so that they can sleep at night, be well prepared to go to their events in the morning, but also to have a friendly environment. So there's a whole range of things that we need to put in place to manage this large hotel. So broadly, from the athlete's point of view, they want to be able to sleep well, they want to get to the venue in plenty of time, and they want to make sure that they're well nourished to be able to perform at their best. And all of that is outside of the venues.
Okay. So can you tell us when we can expect the completion of the Games Village?
Yep, the village is scheduled to be handed over to us at the end of May. We have all of June then to be able to put the things in place that we need to do, and in fact that's the same with all of the venues. So when we receive the venues, they've been built for the people of Papua New Guinea for the next 20 odd years. At games time, we use them a little bit differently. So we have to put in a whole range of temporary infrastructure to make the venues appropriate for what we need for the 2 weeks of the games competition. So right at the moment, we're working in conjunction with government to ensure that we have all of that temporary infrastructure available, that we've got the bump-in process in place, and that we've got the manpower ready to put that in when the venues are handed over to us.
Thank you. Just on that same note, in terms of the completion of the infrastructure of the games venues and facilities, in your opinion, do you think we're on schedule?
We're very confident that all of the fields of play are going to be available for our athletes in plenty of time for us to prepare them for the games. We've got some of the best venues that have ever been seen around the world here in Papua New Guinea being built for these games, and they're going to be a fantastic legacy. We're going to use those for 2 weeks, and certainly the time frame for completion is tight, but we're very confident that they will all be ready for us. We recently had the Pacific Games Council visiting, and Vidya Larkin, the President of the Pacific Games Council, and he went away very content that we're going to be well and truly ready to deliver in July next year.
Okay. How is the working partnership between the Games Organising Committee and the government going? Because obviously the success of this international event will determine the credibility of the government as well as the GOC and the country. So can you please explain a bit more about
Sure.
that?
The Games is very important for Papua New Guinea for a lot more than just sport. This is an opportunity for us in the 40th anniversary of independence to say to the rest of the world that your perceptions of Papua New Guinea may not be exactly how things are. In particular, we want people to go home and tell the rest of the Pacific and the rest of the world that Papua New Guinea is a great place to do business and to visit as a tourist. So the experience, the Games experience that all of these visitors have is really important to us. So the Games experience is more than just the athletes. The media, we'll have over 300 international media visiting here. So we need to provide an environment for them to have a good time and to be able to do their job. So a lot of the work that's going on is things that help those groups to be able to have a good time. So the road infrastructure that's being done, the communication infrastructure that's being put in place,